Hello, Connecticut, tri-state, interstates, national, internation grouped area. Excuse me, space, value, identity of nature. That all values, connections are a demonstration of really the real algorithm complete. The logarithm's guy. Too long I've tried to have free speech, but offensively we have racketeering with criminal justice. There are a whole bunch of people with the names Vega, two Mendez police brothers, state police forms, retired and standing, a whole bunch of people with Detective Dillon, a whole bunch of people with Wethersfield Pizza, a whole bunch of people from that corner, every corner, and that's the corner of Maple Street and Southstein Highway. Now, there's a like if you're gonna go to a if you're gonna go to if you're gonna be a magician, you're gonna buy a magic trick. You're gonna value them inherited. They're doing this with sub-rosa statutes, with active evidence racketeering that is the value of our treatment of the precedents, let alone of human value actual, let alone of exceptions to the law, used to maintain states and areas criminally foreign influenced. Fight all day with other nations, not gonna change the fact that a whole bunch right through generations, right through administrations, Russians were in collusion with a whole bunch of nations against their own and ours against ours with them, with psychology. Recorded delusions, wrought criminally foreign influence, fact treatment, racketeering, databases, racketeering roles, with overt criminal enterprises, with criminal justice department and shared policing on off campuses sustained through time. I just remind a whole bunch of people tied to food bag with our sides roles. This is a whole bunch of people tied to mobile gas station, the on off town line road. All businesses shared police though, intercities. All the stoppage, three stop and shops are involved. Nothing against stop and shop. This is ducked behind the identities of nations involved. Markets position everything, even like fact, especially fact treatment nature, value treatment, especially regarding color, because we have we have them also recorded crimes with foreign and domestic military with trade center predicate acts. This Justice Department, Washington, D.C. Trade Center maintained worse than originally negotiated with worse than terrorism to make them value pseudo positive in relationship to psycho negative. That doesn't make this positive. This is per an organized crime method that made and keeps our top litigation natures with badges and guns like directors of the FBI. Real or made up. Comey and Mueller recorded and involved with sequence shifts with former director of the FBI Robert Luskin, with a whole bunch of federal criminals, foreign and domestic, whole bunch of police forms and overt criminal enterprises and private, which is not complicated, just a lot of names. Also part of recorded method that's name stacks against people, has people pretend emotions and passions with the interbranch and with the military and with everyone associated with them, all spots of the ground through a method. This is exploiting everyone speaking through other people. Now there are a whole bunch of police forms retired and standing, and there's the witness protection program involved in this, which also like nitroglycerin, because the branches of government individually grouped and together are criminally foreign influence. But and they know that, but only to an extent. Already as predators invested, pretending other, and so as quality styles of fact treatment nature as logic needing to make positive out of negative. This is how I'm not a doctor. This is how that logic really works. We have all kinds of foreign and domestic racketeering associated with psychology. With how they say that organized crime is run from inside the prisons. Now they say the recidivism and stuff because they're pretending they're not involved with racketeering actual. No, so if someone tries to report something, like fake news crimes, and say, for example, they have fake news because it's involved with shared policing, a pathology of reactions and responses to things in backgrounds that are always the same because they're only in background and they're influenced before they have those conversations. For example, like in other words, as a magic trick inherited, in other words, I'm talking about crime acts, actual racketeering acts with evidences, with child offenders, with child abuses of a whole bunch of juxtaposed natures, a whole bunch of criminal uses of tied untimely deaths through time, the same people involved with criminal acts on off campuses and verbally because this is a database crime method that's exploiting that in layers with fact cheating nature. They're keeping each age of fact cheating nature hurt methodically by what's helping it, pseudo help too. This is a method that's perfected exploiting. We didn't just leave every job value, every identity of the ground value forsaken, our nature's value forsaken. Fact cheating nature, racketeering, left self value, not let anyone know free speech to demonstrate it regarding color. Only something we have offensive evidence racketeering roles. We have offensive evidence racketeering counters in collusion with it. Our organized crime countering bodies, again, from former director of the FBI down. Sequence shifts reveal this. Crime methods, acts, and natures, and confessions in and out of courts leading up to the Trade Center attack, in the Trade Center attack context, leading up to Washington, D.C., in and out of their case context, a number of ways, leading up to, and then in the context of the Trade Center, proven post-dated documents have been shown to the judges right before the Trade Center attack in the Ninth Circuit, right next to Manhattan, right next to the Trade Center. So obviously shut down too. There were other natures of racketeering roles with people on and off the Trade Center, with people on and off the Ninth Circuit, and with uses of interfamily, because they attach the WFSB is involved with these people too. He also with state police and people involved with racketeering with forensics clicks, all through the same house slash SMI area. One family came in when I was in fourth grade. Right before that, two O'Brien brothers. These are people involved with a whole bunch of racketeering with the departments at CCSU, with foreign and domestic involved with them criminal uses of people with the corners of streets. People uses of fake recorded things into databases rolls with them, like two Mendez police brothers. Through time, whole bunch of other natures of drug crime rules with a whole bunch of names from the Britain Superior Court that attach me to fake crime. They want you to tell them because they're involved with prosecutors long-standing and retired, judges retired and long-standing, even a bunch of women judges involved crimes with proven child, even sexual offenders, nature things, if it's real or not, because those people in those locations were also already facilitated. See, we have DACA was also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. This is involved where they keep here and there all victim predators with value nature systems. They're not going to help anyone, even who they help, but invest them to identity of the ground, identity, quality, fact cheating nature relationships. They can't sustain that and stand free speech with sequence true, inherent, active, and progressive. Our nature's values real, of course, which is Trinity, which is why each individual is a group, age, sex, area, physical culture, to know that physical culture is hyper positive or negative only in relationship to if if we're evaluating the Trinity, which is invisible, but the forever nature we are discernible. In other words, it's negative value nature alone. In other words, even though, excuse me, even a body that's completely alive on a machine, there's something more. Our nature's nature of relationship to itself is shut off. And it shouldn't be so expensive to keep someone on there longer. Sometimes they should wait a little longer for people. Now I saw in the news they had one woman raped, and she became pregnant in one of those places. So we have healthcare identity to ground in relationship uses. We have a nature of shared policing, identities of the law, no, and of logic natures as criminal insidious natures with them because it's uncharged. But it was left by our founders to have demonstrated. It was left by Jesus Christ to have demonstrated to not to give up to when he says forgiveness, or when we hear forgiveness through Christianity, which is distinct from the Old Testament, no, which is distinct from the New Testament, which is not to say, oh, this is right, that's wrong. This to say that the real cause of negative value nature aggressions, acts, and natures, and everyone incapable of speaking for any identity nature or volume anymore. In science, the science of the identity sciences share simultaneously. That's what the sciences really show. Scientific process. So we have scientific process recorded with tricks, magic, evil magic tricks, where where they say scientific consensus. Scientific consensus is maintained criminally foreign influenced with our top legal identities, distinctly and non-distinctly with all opinions on the law everywhere. Even especially regard distinctly and non-distinctly, people who aren't even lawyers. People, you know what? Like this is like with rackets with religion too, like with the Constitution. You don't even read the Constitution. Free speech. You don't have to see. These are little trick fact cheating natures, and then this is while and after already sustained was pretended other and self valued, worse than torture, worse than fact cheating nature slavery even recorded. Natures and quality of convictions of fact cheating nature styles of opinions regarding each science's value, each body's value, each difference's value, each sequence nature value. We have mass sequence shifting predators when it comes to not they say when it comes to Native American rights, when it comes to Native American values, they're already entertained to defenses and encounters and stuff like that, far short of free. So we could never be, because the nature of the truth that freedom is native pure. It is this nature of volume that is culture, that all cultures are in demonstration of, the one that generated and maintains the generation. And as again, as the value of the generation. Excuse me. So the ancients revealed as its value before Earth spawn, while being the value of its Earth spawn, and while being the value of what comes from it. But now we're having a value progression conversation before it's abridged. This is the identity of space, the identity of forever nature, onto the identity they share at the same time. And that's with those three also, the value of that shared for the complete. That's also two ways, inseparable, incompatible with temporary / lasting space nature, but one way. And that's that one way is what connects to our simultaneous individual nature of volume. And that's its body's identity of relationship to itself. Value progression perfect. So these are value nature systems that are in relationship to our quality of fact treatment nature, for example, in relationship to the news. But that doesn't mean give up real news, which has nothing to do with that, with those truths that they're forcing the same nature of torture as the styles of logic, quality of fact treatment nature that you can't defend and teach about what was saying. Look, they're hitting them. Not every single colonist, Every Native American before our founders were born here. Now they were hitting them too. I'm saying hitting because I'm making it physical because, of course, it was worse for people. We're not going to compare though. We're gonna counter once and for all what everyone gave up to even to speak about, which is the organized crime against everyone at once. If you don't do that, that's what they want built everyone to layers, motivations, nature's needs and interests, nature's criminal and seditious nature, mass wrongdoers, mass wrongdoing, mass predicate act committing natures, standing criminal and seditious natures. These are organized crime terms, not for just interstates. This is originally and still not just grouped nations, but this is modern nations in an identity of negative value, nature progression, self-value since some ancient times. This just reminds. And self-valuing originally and still, what came was with that organized crime method that was unfathomable for the past. What was everyone needing to react to it in layers? Again, blaming other things, others, and selves for the real causes of negative value, nature, progressions, acts, and natures. Acts like predicate acts, mass predicate act committing natures. Organized crime term associated with criminal enterprises, associated with natures of value progression, natures of logic as criminal and seditious nature. See now, especially the criminally legalized criminal and seditious nature, even if it weren't criminally legalized criminal and seditious nature, which we have recorded, no free speech, recorded the crime method. For example, they have people offensively repeated through time. The only people that left voice, fake positive natures, fake integrity, like offensively with aggression in their voice. You don't even read the Constitution because these are hurt victim predator fact sheet that came through schools criminally foreign influenced. The Campus Marcius has been criminally foreign influenced since before modern religion's founders were born. Some ancient times, they criminally re-engineered the nature of sciences of human unity that was revealed before criminal foreign influences. They were led by what they knew would cause evolution in its fruits and gifts, which is this identity's identity of the relationship to itself, the reason why each individual is grouped, species nature of volume as value. See, this is values course complete. Otherwise, you can't teach about what the difference between criminal and seditious nature is a positive and biologics course. We have psychology recorded originally and still a whole bunch of nations grouped and together, delusions wrought, criminally foreign influenced, victim predators per nature of child abuse that knew that it was going to make roles. You can't defend that and stand free speech and nature, not criminal and seditious, each nature of perception, not by accident. Per identity, the ground rules take it to collusion. How could you do that? Because this was before matter was bonded, it was an already identity of relationship to itself, which then the value of the grounds increasing value and value gifts here or loss of it, the complete value as temporary positive as lasting positive or negative, unceasingly. Life as a quality of diffusion, why we have bodies. How one identity of value progression has everything only gaining as a forever nature, as its nature of volume. That's why we have the bond of temporary matter, making more identity as forever nature, more and more forever nature. This nature of yin yang only fills. And all exceptions are in demonstration of it. And all exception nature is in demonstration of it. Nature, see, this is an obfuscated definition even in the dictionary, still obfuscated since some ancient times, obfuscated the nature of volume that connects to and as the shared identity that the sciences share, like, for example, as the value of predicate acts with the law. Simultaneously, while predicate of English is value to English, they're in demonstration of the same thing. A predicate act is tied to a criminal insidiousness nature of an identity. Everything is an identity of relationship to itself. This value progression that all things share and sequence, but and because and is the value of that, which is the value of the relationship it has to itself, of the identity of the perfect value progression. The ancients had no problem with disagreements and with agreement and or with agreements about what to call this per science, needing to have a scientific term for this. Now they also needed to know when they're not sure always and when they are. So God is to the extent what we think we know always true. But that's a constant nature of correlation per science that uses exception nature. Only nature of true what is true always and what is not denying the slightest exception. Not deny exception nature. For example, when you entertain color with the law, you're simultaneously entertaining and pretending not to realize criminally foreign influence states and areas per a breaching organized crime method that was using human fact sheet nature. Then you have to value people blaming the real cause of negative value nature progression to acts like predicate acts, a whole bunch of mass criminal insidious natures, fake positive, and sensibilities invested to the defenses of that. And so shared with all kinds of styles, pretending to be about positive when they're not. In other words, these are racketeering roles in Russia and America that are fake sides, and they need that to be self-valued because of their roles with justice departments here and there involved with psychology, drugging people, forging names, switching names. Their crimes from the prisons with overt criminal enterprises, categorically, sequentially, and together, criminally acting together, leading up to and in the Trade Center attack. Former director of the FBI down, involved with a whole bunch of federal criminals tied to him and their family members, and a whole bunch of nature's other federal criminals, all crimes with the people that were put into my classes through time, and the ones that weren't even in my classes involved with pretending things like that. They're interbranch attaching little kids to fake locations through time, exploiting that because of crime methods perfected. This propagated everyone only capable of blaming the real causes of negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures on other things. Natures like criminal insidious natures, standing mass fake positive nature roles. See, all we have to do is understand their souls. That's why I'm trying to say, no, that's why we switch the colors. And then even then, we have a science about this. In other words, we have a means that is a quality of fact sheet in nature that is prohibited free speech. We have offensive passions and emotions only allowed perceived in the medias, all media, because their roles with off the ground of education, on and off campuses and layers maintained, how maintained also, criminally foreign influence nature of volume fact sheet in nature. Everyone speaking through others with an organized crime method that exploits this. Now we're going to examine even the witness protection program was used criminally by the same ones that involve with uses of a whole bunch of overt criminal enterprises. We're going to examine private recorded criminal enterprises, fake news, crime acts with these methods of pretending it's legitimate fake news for training or whatever like that. But they have crime acts with racketeering roles with it because they already have people and fake sides of correlation nature, which is also what they did do through time. Did do and still do through time on and off campuses. They're maintaining interbranch, intercampuses, all identity ground relationships, either valuing pseudo-positive criminal serious nature roles and natures blaming the real causes of negative value nature progressions, acts in natures on other things other than themselves, or they're hurting correlation nature with no criminal foreign influences. Everyone, originally and still, all we needed to do was allow the protraction of free speech that is true always and not denying exception nature. All we needed to do is that, and with sequence true, and countering forging names and switching names rackets, racketeering. These are identity of the ground, tied to quality of fact, cheap nature racketeering roles. Interbranch, individually grouped and together, crime acting, preventing each age of fact, cheap nature, even the youngest kids, with the ability to discern different ways how everyone's lying, preventing them from demonstrating that because this is an extortion method. This is that goes with the torture. Why we had to learn about that, but we never learned about it. And now this is an organized crime method with fact cheap nature using legal identities or maintain criminally foreign influence. The terrorism acts and what led up to that is maintenance to that. Because we're shared police there and here, fake positive, only value positive because it's in relationship to psycho negative like nuclear weapons. All the ways that the people can bring together biological hazards. All the ways we're tactically denatured relation to nature, all fake sciences, and no one's let free speech demonstrate that Native Americans could know more than you guys about how to make paradise, which is a scientific value, which is also we have physical delusions, criminally foreign influence, identities of law, pretending other. Now we have criminally foreign influence stewardships of our religions because the same way we have criminally foreign influence stewardships of each nature of science, all victims, but all victim predators for this organized crime method that religions are really about. So DACA is involved with a whole bunch of people from my town, a whole bunch of names that had nothing to do with. And they also pretend to perceive things in it because they know like when they hear this is an organized crime method that pretends to perceive things for the bad. Like again, that's offensive evidence reception, racketeering. When you have color entertained with the law, and simultaneously when you have and stay what's in place of all those points of correlation that are worse than denied. And how? Brainstorming, other types of things you're going to hear repeat. Everyone heard repeated. This is an adaptation because this is simultaneously sickly distinctly against each age of factory nature in the Forsaken zone. This is in relationship to no one's watching what they're sticking in databases. Even the people involved on paper are missing. What's putting more in there, fake things in there, having it affected spoke allusions to people using DACA, using this is already perfected through time. They already had deans and their family members, a whole bunch of fire departments, foreign and domestic maintenance of their roles with all kinds of natures of drug crimes, formal and other, all kinds of natures of crimes with various natures of courts, one-way reports. And then they give they're these are interbranch, all kinds of natures of good pot they have. They give what garbage where they're shooting people because there's people stacked on. They have racketeering still involved with their campuses, every campus, including fire campuses, medical campuses. So I don't want to make it just too long. Boxing is strong. So we're going to follow that street from there. Right before it goes to the bridge, we'll go over it. But right before it goes to the bridge, there's an Oliveri family who's one of the people, and then a Fianza family. Oliveri, then it goes up the street, then there's on off the state judicial branch with a whole bunch of people tied to it, a Fianza family that is recorded involved with fake news and crimes with a whole bunch of overt criminal enterprises and uses of their roles with extortion and threats regarding and confessions regarding their roles with their family with the body dumping spot of Billy Grasso. They repeated and demonstrated, confessed and recorded was put in another spot. In other words, it was a different body spot than they said in the news. So in other words, that's one of the ways. These are also people involved crimes with this Dillon family, a Sean Dillon, Kevin Dillon, and Anna Dillon, involved with a whole bunch of courts, retired and standing interbranch police forms, and prosecutors retired and standing, long standing, and ones still like closer to my age, who were all before they were those people were in the court, also tied to federal crime acts in and out of cases and with fake news to hide their life progressions from their crime racketeering when they were kids with adults interbranch, especially a whole bunch of people with New Britain Superior Court. Then you start listing names and they say, oh, they don't even know me. They make confessions to me. They arrest people with fake charges when they're caught. We have high sick people, more sicker than the overt criminal enterprises with their racketeering acts roles and actually recorded natures. No criminal insidious nature. They can't stand free speech till since founding, especially with sequence true. They forging names and switching names into branch. These are crimes with a whole bunch of natures of child offenders, especially if they made that up. Because these are with the people on the child sex offender registry, because those are also people that also facilitated crimes with the drugs and with the clicks with the on off the libraries. Missed how used roles with that. These are also the people with the shared policing of campuses like UConn, which is involved with all kinds of natures of racketeering acts and roles with each age of fact, cheap nature through time. I just remind Duke University. These are people with all kinds of online racketeering roles, policing of the internet, the uses of Facebook. Then they have like, oh, we're going to hire so many. The court will tell them, oh, you hire so many online police. They're out of their minds with what they pretend is positive. By the way, these are racketeering roles with the policing online, with child sex offenders, medical offenders, ones associated with various natures of court. A whole bunch of people associated with Hartford courts, Middletown courts, New Britain Superior Court, involved with racketeering acts and methods, and then pretending not to realize. So have them pick one name in sequence, because these are various natures of courts that know that they forge names and switch names because now they're all stuck. In other words, and see how it will help you to understand. I'll draw a picture of a 2006 case with former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and a district case in Connecticut. Now, these are the whole bunch of people in that case and leading up to it are recorded and confessed and demonstrating have been facilitated to, influenced to, and they've been attached to, they don't even know, to racketeering crimes with people with houses in my area. They also criminal racketeering roles, uses of the witness protection program, as ones with their extended family members also further involved with child offenders on off the state forensics labs places and database types clicks, shared policing of the stores. My town's police chief's longstanding, and the one before him with the same house /S involved with federal crimes with the campuses I went to, with houses next to them through time. even though they didn't go to all the campus I went to. Those are the same people facilitated to a pattern of racketeering. Now they're in the background, like magic tricks with racketeering, pretending things into databases so they can pretend not to understand me and pretend that I'm not telling the truth over here. Now they also have 3 times recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. This is what they recorded. They didn't want to let me have a lawyer. They didn't let me talk. I didn't talk to them. I just, they forged names, switched names. They couldn't even pretend that this Leahy family. See, he's involved with a whole bunch of people in the British Superior Court, prosecutors involved with them, judges retired and standing involved, attaching little kids to fake locations, all kinds of racketeering crime acts roles with them. The same ones involved with all kinds of nature of drug crime roles, same ones hurting kids for it. The same ones with a whole bunch of doctors with Hartford Hospital, Institute of Living, no instituted in 1822 with slavery still in Hartford. That George Washington had to leave. That went with us to the World War One too. We still weren't free. There was racketeering here that had the identity of nations forced not to say anything about how they're grouped. And they're all fake legal identities. They can't defend themselves in free speech. No, they all need to torture each quality of fact sheet nature into would stay. They made it pray. Free speech. So there are a whole bunch of people with the name Vega, and this is from the highest. Like what's his name? Joseph Lieberman. I don't know him. I don't know his wife, but they're recorded and confessed involved with the DACA and with the criminal justice, all kinds of database racketeering on and off CCSU. Now they're victims facilitated to it. They're also with a whole bunch of rude people with fake sides demonstrated. The little creepy people with Confederate flag, Latino, Italian, all these fake cops with sick criminal justice. That's not law. These punks are too illegitimate to even, because this is criminal uses of CCSU by the branches from off its campus and on off it in layers, but they were already affected to that the same way, victim predators. So we need to have mandated law followed. They have crime methods pretending not to understand people. They confessed, recorded, and demonstrated a whole bunch of forging names, switching names, falsified police reports, stacking fake recorded things on and off the campuses. With pretending to perceive things, pretending things are recorded, leading up to and in cases, leading up to and in the Trade Center attack context, Manhattan, leading up to and in cases in Washington, leading up to and in cases in Connecticut, interbranch, on and off their state judicial branch offices, down the street from that, an Oliveri family, Joshua Stryker, and a whole bunch of people associated with state police on and off Trinity College, people associated on and off CCSU, racketeering where they train people to be undercover and stuff like that, but they're really involved with actual racketeering, offensive identity thefts, identity fraud, sequence shifts, and worse, as we must rehearse to see. So now they have headaches because these are also people involved with the Trade Center, with racketeering, where they're victims too. But there were also roles with that, the victims themselves. Because, but in other words, everyone's with opinions speaking through other people. Now there's a whole bunch of people with Sean Dillon, Kevin Dillon, and Anna Dillon with foreign and domestic military, and again with FBI, former director of the FBI down, involved with federal criminals in my area, crimes with child offenders further, and a whole bunch of natures of child abuse on and off the campus is connections between untimely deaths. And these are also confessions intercities connected. So they delayed me from countering things where they're also in the background forging names, switching names, attaching switching people's names, attaching me and fake people to fake locations with the same organized crime racketeering roles, justice department juxtaposed, military, foreign, and domestic juxtaposed racketeering when I was a kid. In other words, And they want you to say it because then it pretends you know them. And they can't be honest about any context you know them because they already tried to pretend to perceive things that they know that are recorded actually other. Now, see, we have these are class placements. These are natures of crimes with the kids that are also with their crimes with fake sides of correlation nature, tied to the roles with acting and methods of it, methods of keeping the motivations of fake sides, pretending not to realize that in collusion, actual racketeering acts in cases, evidential racketeering associated with this as victims, but because they were facilitated to it because the courts and the police forms and the foreign were already having been used, already perfected for the use of criminally foreign influence states and areas cover-ups, maintained right to the personal stewards, their family members, influences of them with each database relationship tied click like a department. Whole bunch of people associated with the acting department involved with Weathersfield Pizza at the top end of the street, the Connecticut Judicial Branch is on. Whole bunch of men and women associated with child offenders on and off the state judicial branch offices, with this FIANZA, with the racketeering, with the fake news, pretending they have the legitimate rights to do that. These are also racketeering with a whole bunch of mayors retired and standing. Again, for the highest political figures. So everyone's a naive reaction to retreats. We never won the ability to stand, and they keep like Otto Warmbier, whatever he was doing there. Other we have states and areas of modern nations here, and they are sick, and that's what CARE does. That CARE is not to deny and play the fake sides they want and need. We have real sick people originally still involved with psychology that went with us to World War I. Then they have to hide that. They have, they can't even, they're forging names, switching names. How many, we have really sick natured judges like this Judge Killian. But I need to get to the ones with the sequence just before him because they're involved with racketeering leading up to it, and the judges and their family members were already involved with racketeering with them. Uses of DACA, whole but like a De La Fair family, a whole bunch of like 4 or 5 brothers involved racketeering with the houses in my area, involved further with the child offenders, with the principal sex offenders campus, real and especially if made up. These are a whole bunch of natures of child offenders, identity theft, identity fraud, property thefts, breaking in my house, crimes with databases, criminal uses of the witness protection program, wire crimes, mail crimes, crimes with MPO Floyd, crimes with a Klavinsky's family, identity thefts. I'm not saying things they have the right to do legally. Now these are people involved with aggression, crimes with online police, a whole bunch of people in the Britain Superior Court, crimes with this with this Justin Klavinsky's, with child sex offenders involved, also with Confederate flag themed, KKK themed, Puerto Rican flag themed, Italian overt criminal enterprises, and the witness protection, all used by the same natures of police forms, foreign and domestic families, a whole bunch of medical families involved with racketeering acts, fake forging names, switching names, all kinds of formal drug crime roles with judges of various natures of courts and police forms, formal directed FBI down, Weathersfield police chief down, retired and standing. There's a whole bunch of people tied to Detective Dillon. Now, see, we have real bad men and women that are using crime methods, but preventing free speech, lying, stacking more things in the database in the background, right through administrations. I'll show you how they're lying. You never heard anything but theater as criminal insidious nature. I'm not even a lawyer, not a plea for a criminal. Well, hi, criminals dealing with every fact treatment every day. Hear many pray. We have criminally foreign influence zoning laws, pathology of homes with this trap set up here since before our founders' births. So don't ever forget Hartford / Weathersfield. George George Washington had to leave slavery here. He did not. That was his slavery. That was his fact cheap nature torture. He didn't have free speech in layers, not by accident. Needing to defend himself with positive treatments, like everyone else, as standing criminal and seditious nature. Free speech. So WFSB is involved with this. A whole bunch of people on that strip, and with the houses and the businesses involved with where they involve more people to fact cheating nature racket tricks. Where they pretend to they imply that they get them to their sensibilities needing to apply things, but they're involved with preventing writing. They're hiding behind like so a whole bunch of natures of people involved with Justice Department corruption and with crimes with the departments at CCSU are recorded and confessed involved with the Stephen Stocco and with Maria Stocco and or Maria Vazina and her brothers and family involved also with religious people and houses next to her involved with the child offenders more. And they had roles with sequence shifts in the back in the past. And these are people with crimes with a Joe DeMoro, also tied to a John Mayano, with men and women with New Britain Superior Court, with a whole bunch of fake news crime acts with WFSB, and with Fox Connecticut News, also as medical crime acts that pretended kids to fake locations with doctors that pretended they met know those kids when they were kids. Now these are a whole bunch of people with a Paul Zano and with Rick Champagnon and a Brian Silver. Rick Champagnon said a Brian Silver and a Brendan Leahy and his father, Brendan Leahy. They're also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. They confirmed that he's involved with racketeering. Now I don't even know the Rick Champagnon. I barely know him. They had him, they make those confessions because then they had them involved with sequence shifts, pretending me to fake places growing up tied to them. They were also involved with database crimes with that on and off the campuses I went to each age. Like there's and like there was a Mr. Neville. And then there was it was repeated. There are people associated with like agencies or foreign with a Mr. Potter and car dealerships and stuff like that because these are locations of the ground that mix with all kinds of police firms, overt criminal enterprises, private ones originally still juxtaposed. Databases, clicks, their opinions in relationship to other people, their family members involved. All kinds of natures of racketeering with a whole bunch of nations share police. Like these people are nurses and this is from this culture. They're sick. They're there and here involved with cultural racketeering, a part of their thing because they need to pretend passions and emotions while they're pretending things are recorded that are not. They have a whole bunch of people with Confederate flag themed black, Latino, and Italian with crimes with overt criminal enterprises and with pretended prejudice and racism because we have a whole bunch of imagine the sick people with criminal justice. All these nations share. There were a whole bunch of people who recorded, confessed, and demonstrated that Officer Hunter, he's involved with identity theft. He pretended to know me through time with people on and off the former director of the FBI's lawyer's location, Farmington Avenue. Now these are people also with Narcan training everything. They have clubs downtown. There now, John Mallon, I barely know. He used to once in one of my confessions demonstrations. He's recorded involved with racketeering too, with Farmington Avenue, Solomon Avenue. Like their roles with Narcan training undercover. These are racketeering roles. Also with a whole bunch of doctors where they're exploiting anomaly, where they're pretending not supposed to speak things, pretending they had conversations that never were. They're forging names, switching names. Their crimes with their patients and criminals and the family members of people in collusion with them that go in there to maintain racketeering, illusion cover-ups, lie progression cover-ups, more worse. So we need to have so the use Facebook already is recorded and involved with racketeering with Weathersfield Interbranch and with the worst natures of crime. Now, see, they're pretending that it's just all like if you say fake news crime acts, they're going to pretend that's just their legitimate directions to make fake news. You know, or to be able to get away with such. But it's not that. I'm trying to report the fake news crime acts. They stole me to a fake conversation with WFSB. They stole my family to sequence shifts too. They're recorded, confessed, involved with a whole bunch of racketeering crime acts before they did that. They did that, and that forced the principal child offender, which is though they're involved with a whole bunch of more people involved with the people on the sex offender registry, further involved with that then and now. They didn't let me tell that by making up fake recorded things when I caught worse tied to that then and now. They're stealing my voice. Now these are other there's a Dr. Graham, and there are other people further recorded and confessed and demonstrated involved with the extended family members of my area and people involved with the courts and state police and their family members of the racketeering involved people involved with the state police with other natures of racketeering crime acts, evidential racketeering crime acts. Whole bunch of people near Dearborn Street in Newington and businesses around the corner there associated with Spotter family. Now, see, these are a whole bunch of sisters. These are people that's why they have the people go to confessions. If you just try to be a nice person in life, they'll hurt you. They'll hurt you if you don't. Now, these are people on and off the state, on and off the FBI in New Haven, on and off Yale. They have Yale, those shootings tied to their fake news crime acts, especially if made up for fake, and the name Vega, recording to the criminal uses of the protests of these things, criminal uses of town meetings. Even again, these are with child offenders, cowards with time. I just remind. So if you call up the campus calmly, they won't respond. These are people you have to watch the aggression with the interbranch sick punk fake man. Same thing with the women. That's how they're getting over on it through time. There are roles with these women child offenders. That's recorded always true, not denying exceptions. They're stacking things right now when I talk lie, fake. They can't take what they're built incapable of defending themselves and of defending a nation. That was entrenched here since before our founders' births. Blame it on England, blame anything but what it was. Nations bonded, sick, identity of negative value, nature, progression. Each position, the human fact should be nature. You stay roles, fake positive, pretending we're not to realize, or we're going to hurt you. That's what the media is telling our leaders. That's what the recorded doing. Though the media is involved with racketeering, that is much worse. They're pretending it's personal too. And they're using time treatments always too fast, slow, and stacking, recording, racketeering acts, preventing mandated law. See, now I need a place to counter because they're preventing me from reporting and from countering crime acts. Then they pretend not to understand you. If you talk about all that's connected to that. So now I can make overall allegations against them. They're saying that are grounded with sequence shifts, racketeering acts in out of cases, interstates. The same ones on and off the campuses, more racketeering with the database. Everyone missed this. These are high predators, the same way the overt criminal enterprises are. They want to feel good about themselves. Judge Killian, he's delusions raw. High victim predator. What a sick guy as a judge. That's recorded. Now we need to have these people be able to respond for themselves without more racketeering. We need to have them pick one name in sequence They're forging names, switching names, drug crime rolls, overt criminal enterprises with them. Mail crimes, election crimes, voting crimes, a whole bunch of people on off what they call Homeland Security. That spot near there, right, with a whole bunch of people tied to Johnny Duke, Johnny Gallucci, whatever. Further with his family members, further into campuses, further with his agencies, sick, with the houses next to it. Better give me a response. Because we have all confessions demonstrated with the people involved, with next to the schools, corners of the houses. People involved with Saudi Arabia for their criminal use of them. They don't even have an idea. So they'll be quick to be names, all modern nations, with the shared policing of the stores. West Farms Mall, recorded and confessed racketeering with people associated with Saudi Arabia, leading up to the Trade Center attack. A whole bunch of people tied to the Sclora family. A whole bunch of crimes with the child campus in my town. I don't know them. Intercities, connected, criminal uses of kids of each age on and off campuses, racketeering. Fair. Get these Scloras. With the Scloras are involved also racketeering with police forms on and off my property, breaking in my house through time. Get them down. I had nothing to do with these Scloras. Get them from my name too. On and off the CCSU campus and Franklin Avenue, and the one in New Britain, intercities. Now they're further tied with the child sex offender cliques, and with CIA recorded confessions demonstrate they're using Facebook to spread fake things. They're pretending to perceive things. They're having people to pretend they had conversations with people, pretend people put fake locations online as the ones involved with that in the background. Not because they were involved with the narratives where they attached me and others to fake locations through time. I just remind boxing strong. Yeah. This is also racketeering each of the gyms. A whole bunch of people are involved sequence shifts, racketeering with overt criminal enterprise. A whole bunch of people associated with Puerto Rico and Mexico and other associated with Sandy Hook, with houses in my area, O'Brien's, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated through everyone involved confessions, demonstrations, other confessions. Other people I don't even know. They're involved with houses on the corners of the streets, criminally, foreign and domestic. Russian families I don't even know the name of. I can't get a response. There are various natures of courts further tied to the proven racketeering inside and out of their courts. Proven, not yet racketeering, but it's recorded racketeering because we have mail crime methods, wire crime methods, and that tied to their all kinds of natures of formal drug crime racketeering and, and private drug racketeering roles with the clicks, with the drug clicks, all kinds of fake news, identity thefts, fake recorded things in bad database. Whole bunch of people in New Britain Superior Court, whole bunch of people with Hartford courts and courts I was never even in. Recorded, confessed, and demonstrated by them involved from off campuses connected through time. Whole bunch of people in Park Street real sick. Whole bunch of people on off the state, each state capital. Forget about it. Logic needs positive scores now. Fake branches bow. Not criminal diseases, nature's logic. Of course, boxing is scores.